You're listening to Online Pet Health Podcasts with Dr. Megan Kelly. Continuing education for veterinarian rehabilitation therapists. Learn more at onlinepethealth.com.
Hey Vet Rehabbers, welcome to the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Megan Kelly. Today we're going to be doing one of the Behind the Rehab Practice podcasts, and I'm chatting to Jana Gams. She has a practice called Dogs for Motion, and she's based in Slovenia. She chats to us about her goals and her plans. So she had a 10-year plan, and how the importance of a great team has helped her to fast-track her practice and achieve those goals in 1.5 years. She also mentions how she uses other streams of income, talking about online courses, teaching, and lecturing. It was a really interesting chat. Over to Jana. Welcome, Jana. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Welcome. Thank you for having me there.
Jana, you're obviously based in Europe, in Slovenia, and for those listening, we had a conversation about how to pronounce the capital city of Slovenia, and I just decided just to pass that over to Jana because it's really tricky. Tell us a little bit about how your work works, so where you're actually based. I know that you're in a couple of different locations throughout the week.
Yeah, we have our rehab center located in a statistical region called Carinthia, or Koroška in our language, and it's 2 hours away from the capital city. So the capital city of Slovenia is called Ljubljana. Once a week we work there. We drive there with a part of our equipment and work at the vet station, at one of the vet stations in the capital.
And is it you and your husband together?
Actually, all of us three goes. So me, my husband, and our employee, my colleague Eva.
Okay. And so are your husband, all three of you vets?
Me and Eva are vets, and Primož is actually for administration and driver and financial part, marketing part, so everything from behind.
That's great. You've got a great team. So he helps you with all those things that most of us don't have time to do. So yes. It sounds like it works quite well. And so when did you qualify as a vet?
I graduated in the beginning of 2017, so 1.5 years ago.
And when you were at vet school, did you have this interest in rehabilitation from very early, or was it something that just developed after you qualified?
Actually, we didn't have any lectures on rehab. I personally looked for it and then found a CCRP program. Same also Eva, my colleague now. And everything from rehab started after we graduated. So we signed for a CCRP course, and it's still going on.
Okay. And tell me, is rehab something that is common in animals in Slovenia?
No, not at all. We only have maybe 2 or 3 persons that have been doing this just for their own. But actually we lacked a center that would offer all services together.
And you're involved in dog training and conditioning because you actually got into sort of online courses before you started your rehab practice. Is that right?
Yes. Actually, everything started out from online courses for canine conditioning. Also, the reason was that if I wanted to start a business, I only needed a website for it. And we also got some early funds from the courses offered. Actually, even between the studies, I was already involved in the dog training field. I also have my own dogs, and I train and compete in agility and FCI obedience. And it actually pulled me in. You see a lot of injuries in sporting dogs, and I wanted somehow to work towards preventing the injuries, or maybe to help the sporting dogs to get better. So I started with learning for canine conditioning at first. I took a lot of lectures and online classes and workshops. Maybe this is also the reason why I like to give knowledge also. So yes, I started with first dog training and then get involved in canine conditioning. So this was something I gave lectures even before I started my own business.
And how much does that take up of your time now? I mean, are you still doing these online courses, or have you developed them and now it just sort of ticks over, or does it take up a lot of your time away from consulting?
It still takes a lot of time because I don't want to let it go. It's a growing field and it's a big part of my business. So actually I can divide my business into rehab and hydro center being one part, and then online canine conditioning being the second part, and the third part is workshops in person.
And it sounds like you love lecturing and giving knowledge, and, because you're actually lecturing at VEPRA too, aren't you? For those of you that are in Europe, or those of you that would like to travel to Europe, VEPRA conference is from the 19th to the 21st of September in Ghent in Belgium, and Jana is one of the lecturers there. So these workshops, how often do you do them? I mean, because they're quite time consuming. I myself have actually done workshops for pet owners. And here in South Africa, I've lectured to vets and to vet rehab therapists. But I think that people underestimate how long it takes to get all the information together and to do them. And, so how often are you doing these, and who are you targeting them at? Is it the pet owner, or is it pet owners as well as veterinary professionals?
Okay, so many questions in one question. First of all, I have a really great team. So I can afford to give a lot of my time to prepare for the workshops, and that I'm actually able to find time for workshops, because you have to travel somewhere. I usually travel to the workshops, and to give lectures within few days. I usually have it over a few days, and in the same time the center can go on, because my great colleague Eva is taking care of everything. But yes, a lot of time and effort, and but yes, because I like to do it, and I like to see how people implement the gained knowledge, and I think this is the biggest reward. I usually give few workshops per year. Maybe they're more concentrated in the early summer here and the late summer here, and then maybe 1 or 2 in winter. So not all of them in 1 month.
And is it to pet owners or to veterinary professionals, or both?
Mostly pet owners, but going into the canine conditioning, a lot of vets are also interested in. So they come to the workshops and they actually have a bit high level of what they want to hear. So it depends a little bit what's the audience. And yes, as you mentioned, VEPRA is a highly professional conference for sports medicine and rehabilitation. So there will be vets.
And what is your topic at VEPRA? What are you lecturing about?
I will be lecturing about canine athlete and a little bit about sports training.
Okay. So I'm interested about your workshops. Obviously you enjoy doing it. Is there a benefit for your practice? So do you, say, for the pet owners that are coming there, do you find that they then come to you for treatments? Do you see that helps with sort of as a way of marketing?
Yes, it certainly does. I actually had quite some clients coming from far away, because they were in my online classes and they wanted to come in real. So they are driving, or they drive for like 4 or 5 hours in one direction to reach me. So this is a very nice thing. The second part is also that people know me from Europe and also worldwide, and they're interested in workshops. So they want me to come there so we can meet and we can learn together, and yeah.
And what about the veterinary professionals? Do you get referrals from those people that come to do the conditioning workshops of yours? You obviously then, it's a great opportunity to network with them and potentially get them to refer their cases to you.
Actually, at the workshops, I mostly work with people from other countries, so not so much in our country. So yeah, not there yet.
Okay. And how do the vets in Slovenia, I mean, are they quite open to rehabilitation? Considering that they don't get a lot of lectures when they're at vet school. I mean, we had the same here in South Africa, and it took years and years and years to get vets on board with rehabilitation because it wasn't something that they were taught about.
Yes, I think it's still a big problem, although it's improving, because I find that vets that are maybe a bit younger generation, and they're a bit more open to more fields of helping the animals. So I have very good connection with some of the vets, some of the orthopedists, but still I think it will take a lot of years to really say that they will refer on a daily basis.
So let's chat a little bit about your practice. So, I mean, first I want to say that you've done an amazing job, you know, considering that you qualified in 2017, everything that you've done so far. I'm really looking forward to watching you over the next 10 years because you've achieved quite a lot in a year and a half. How did you, it's a big decision to open up a practice. There's a lot of investments, financial investments, a lot of risk. How did you approach your practice? Did you just sort of open it up and buy all the equipment, or have you done it in stages, and where have you got your support from?
Well, first of all, thank you. Yes, a lot of things happened in the past year and a half. I always had a plan. I always had a goal that I will have a rehab center. I just didn't know when. So at first, when if I say a year and a half ago, I think this was my 10-year plan. So I wanted to divide it in parts. First reach something and then something. You can't just jump in and see what will happen. But then somehow everything happened just in time. So first I started with the online classes. So I only needed a website. So when I given a certain amount of classes, I earned enough to be able to afford my first machine that would help me to start working with patients. So the first investment I did was the Chattanooga combination. So I had electrostimulation, I had the ultrasound, and I had a class 3B laser on. So this was my first option for modalities that I could use with working with patients, apart from my hands, of course. And then I had a nice opportunity with one of the vets in the capital city, and he was very interested in what I do, and he invited me that I can use his place to come and to treat patients. And of course, in the capital city, there's more people, and it was easier for them that I came to them, and I spared them all the driving. So this is how I started working with patients. Also, I had a lot of fitness equipment already from my home. So I actually did have first pieces of equipment that made me possible to start working with patients. As I also said before, I'm also active in competing, and I'm there almost every week. So a lot of people knew me from the agility trainings and competitions. And those were also my first clients. And I really have to thank them because they came, they trusted me, and they were happy with what I offered, and they started to refer. So I get more and more clients in. And there was the second big thing that happened. And me and my husband, we started with early business. And we applied to a Slovene enterprise fund for innovative startup businesses. So they were offering funds, and we actually were successful, and we got it. So this was another big thing that happened, and somehow allowed us to think bigger. So this was maybe half a year later. After we got the funds and were successful there, we actually get a really good place to rent. So we were much closer to the center then. also in a local business incubator for startup businesses, again, something to help with new young businesses to start with. So we had a bit lower rent, and it was a perfect thing to start with to see if it goes. And you don't have to spend so much investment into something you don't know how it will develop. So yes, we had the funds, we had the place where we could be. So why not? And soon, of course, the need gets bigger and the dreams get bigger. So we ordered underwater treadmill, the hydrophysio, which was another big thing that I always wanted to have. And of course, you need a place for it. So I had a place, I had the money. So let's order it. Of course, I knew that I will not be able to run the business by myself. As we said, the workshops and the online classes I didn't want to leave behind. And the fact that Primož is only qualified to do all the work behind the practice. And then I connected with my colleague and Eva, that we actually took the CCRP classes together. And yes, she's our new employee since September last year. And one more addition that came to our practice was the class for K-laser that was in our practice in the beginning of 2019. So a lot of things happened in 1 year, even though I initially had plans for everything in like 10 years.
Well done. I mean, yes, it happened very quickly, but it seems like it's happening at the right speed for you. And that's the thing, is that these things sort of just play out. You know, you get more clients, and then you realize, okay, well, the need to offer more happens, and then you just have to adapt. Is there anything that you would have changed in what you've done, or you're happy with the progress and sort of everything that you've done up until now?
Actually, everything developed so quickly. I have no idea. I wouldn't change a single thing, because somehow all the steps were just in the right time, if you know what I mean. So I got from one thing, opportunity, to another and to another and to another. And sometimes I'm thinking that if I maybe got a place before I was actually able to have my first modality, I would probably not be able to take it, because why to have a place if you don't have opportunity to have anything there? Or if I had, I don't know, maybe if this each step of what happened would be in different order, maybe it would be completely different today. So if you ask me, I wouldn't change a single thing.
That's great. Tell me about marketing, because you know you're very, very lucky to have a partner that's able to cover all those things, and somebody that obviously understands the business that you're in, because he's been in it from the beginning, from the online courses. So marketing a practice is something that a lot of rehab therapists just don't have the time for. So they're just there in the consult room seeing patients. What is your and your husband's marketing plan? Have you got a plan that you work that he follows, or is it the kind of thing where you just sort of month to month just see what's happening and then take it from there?
At first, we tried and see what will work out, but then marketing is a big field, and if you want to have a good marketing program, you have to learn. You have to learn the how marketing is actually, how it's going on. So you have to set a good plan. And now we have a little bit of plan. And another thing that we did is also outsourcing a big part. So social media, we have another person that's taking care for photos, videos, and a little bit of social media. So another person joined in. And Primož actually makes the big plan behind what will happen, what we have to market, what will be our goal for the marketing, and where to market, as well as different clients. So you cannot approach different clients in the same way. So you really have to adapt to how to get introduced to them. So vets and normal pet owners, and then they're online, everything is separated.
Yeah, that's the thing. So with your business, it's not as simple as just, marketing for the practice. You've got the three avenues. You've got the workshops, you've got the online thing, as well as the rehab practice. So it's a little bit more complicated.
Each of the parts has its own marketing plan, but each of the things that we do is also connected a little bit. So working in rehab is also my advantage for workshops and for online classes. And for online classes, it's good that I work also the other two parts. So it's like a triangle that's everything's connected, but you have to have a plan and a path for each of it separately.
What have you done with regards to the practice? What one thing do you think that has really helped you to increase the number of new clients that you've got at your practice?
I think the fact that with early clients, they were very happy with the outcome, they were happy with the services, and they started to spread the word. So a word of mouth is my biggest marketing way for the rehab center. Yeah.
And it obviously helps that you are in agility, so a lot of your clients come from there. So are you competing on a regular basis? Do you have time to do that? Everything else you do?
I try to, even though that I usually end up on competitions running with my dogs, and later in the afternoon I work. I work.
And tell me, does your husband do agility too? Is he in the same sport as you?
No, he actually joins the competition just to get to know the people and to hear a little bit from their side and to be a good driver.
So what are the plans now? Because obviously the goals have now shifted. So you've already reached your 10-year goal at 1.5 years. So what are the plans for the next 5 years? What do you hope to do?
Since we got a place to rent in the local business incubator, the plan is to move out within 3 years or after 3 years. So it's a good place to start. But everything we have there and we did there is ready to move. So our plan is, of course, to find our own place, maybe something that's not rented. But yes, we will see. We started very fast, but now it took a little bit slower. And since this is something really big for future, we want to plan it a bit more carefully.
So you hope to eventually buy a premises. Maybe you can have that big rehab center with lots of other therapists there too.
Yes. My goal and my dream is definitely to have a big center that connects the sports and the rehab. So yeah, we will work towards there.
Tell me, do you have any advice for those people that are just coming into the field? So those people that have just decided, all right, this is the field I want to be in, and they've just registered for the CCRP, for example.
Yes, I actually do. You need to set your goals. And first, when you have the goals, you have to work towards them. So don't be afraid that you will fail. I think it's much worse if you're not trying or not progressing. So, of course, all of us have fears and we're afraid how will things going on or how everything will work out. But somehow in the end, it always works out. You just have to work towards your initial goal and you will succeed.
I think it's great advice, and I'm a firm believer. So if you really want something, you make it happen.
Yes.
And I think a lot of the vet rehab therapists, they are those kind of people. They make it happen. So they have to, especially in the animals that we treat.
Maybe one more advice also. We didn't talk about the team. I strongly believe that a good team is much needed. One single person just cannot succeed can only succeed to a certain degree. And then when everything gets bigger and maybe also the dreams and everything, you have to have a good team that you can rely on and trust.
Yeah, I think this is something that comes up quite often, to decide whether you go on your own and stay on your own and just stay small, or to expand and get colleagues and get other people to help you. I must say I tend towards the team because I like being in a team. I don't like being by myself, and also hate doing administration stuff. So when I was by myself, that was the worst part. I very quickly hired people to do all that kind of stuff for me. But it is something that I think it is a personal preference for people. But I listened to a podcast the other day. It was really interesting. It was talking about your life and business, and talking about everyone in the job that they do has something that they don't like. So you're never going to find a job where you love absolutely everything about it. There's always going to be something. And this guy, I can't remember his name, but he suggested that if you had 70% of things that you love about your job and 30% that you hate, that is good. So that's good,
I agree.
And it reminded me, okay, well, maybe, I had 30% of admin when I was by myself. So maybe it does work. But I think it is a personal preference. But when you've got a great team supporting you, you can do whatever you want to do. You can sort it.
I think people have the biggest fear that it's hard to give how to say it. We like to do things by ourselves because we believe that we are the ones who will do them good. And sometimes you need to really have the trust that someone else will do the same thing, maybe not as good as you, but they will do their best to do it. So once you accept that someone else is also able to do something, it's much, much easier. But it's hard. It's really hard, especially if you have the big plan in your head and you see how the things are or should work, and then maybe someone else has his own how he sees it. So yes, but everything goes back to the team. You just can't do everything by yourself.
I think it really also comes down to communication, and I think communicating to your team what the big picture is. And I think, that's why your advice about having goals and then striving for them. And because sometimes I think, and I look back on myself, when I first started my practice, for a few years, I just went along, just being in practice. And if someone had actually asked me where was I going or what was my plan, I actually didn't know. I didn't really have a plan. And you see, I think that's when you misalign sometimes with team members, because you don't have a plan and you haven't actually communicated your plan to them. So no one actually knows where they're going. And that means that everyone is going in different directions. So someone's going that way, someone's going that way. But if you have a goal and a plan and you communicate it, then you all go in the same direction.
Yes, totally agree.
Jana, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much. And I hope to get you in a few years' time back on the podcast. I'm a little bit scared to know what you've done in those 2 years. Most of your colleagues in the vet rehab field achieving what you have in a year and a half. But well done, and just keep doing the excellent work that you're doing.
Thank you very much. I'm really, really happy that you gave me this opportunity, because listening to your podcast is also one big thing that we do, and we learn a lot. So actually, when I got your invitation, I was like, oh my God. So thank you again, and good luck also to you. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, Jana. Have an awesome day. Bye.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Vet Rehabbers, thanks for listening to my podcast. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, and it would be great if you could leave me a review. I want to know, what are you doing on the 15th to the 17th of November? It is our Vet Rehab Summit, which is our online virtual conference for veterinary rehab professionals. Find out more information at onlinepethealth.com.